I'm the head of the household. My orders are absolute. If you don't listen to me, we'll get a divorce.
Despite the fact that he was having an affair, my husband was still trying to control me. Why should I have to do everything he says? Fine, let's get a divorce then. Then I changed all the loans to be in his name, so he will realize just how much I supported our life together. My name is Belle. I'm 36 years old, and I work as a system engineer. It's been 6 years since I married my husband, Derek. We met through work, as the company where I worked as an engineer subcontracted work from his company. When I was working at his company as a temp, he spoke up to me kindly. And naturally, we started to get to know each other outside of work. After dating for a while, he proposed, and I accepted. When I got married, I quit my job at the company. Working as an engineer for a company was extremely demanding, and I was often overworked, both physically and mentally. The pay wasn't great either. I was worried that if I kept working like that, I wouldn't have enough time to spend with my husband, and our relationship would suffer. So I made a decision to become a freelancer, which allowed me to have more time for household chores and spending time with my husband. At first, I didn't make much money as a freelancer, but I had experience as an engineer. So I eventually started getting more clients and making more money. I was surprised at how quickly my income increased, and grateful for my husband for supporting us financially when I wasn't making much. I worked hard at housework, even though cooking wasn't my forte. I try to make different meals every day, using recipe books to make my husband happy.
Thanks for cooking and cleaning. It really helps me out.
My husband praised my housework, which made me happy. In the early days of my marriage, we respected each other and had a happy life together. But after a few years, my husband suddenly said this.
Isn't it time for us to get a new house?
Huh? A new house? I was surprised when my husband said that. It's because he's not the type to save money. In that case, shouldn't we save up a little more money?
What are you talking about? I earn a pretty decent income, don't I?
Huh?
Because you haven't had any financial problems since we got married, right?
That's because it's thanks to my income. But I couldn't say that to my husband. Although he gave me money for household expenses, he always spent his own allowance before the next payday. So I saved as much as I could from my income and added it to the household budget. Thanks to that, we were able to live without financial problems. I was grateful for being able to live thanks to my husband's income when we first got married. That's why I didn't even tell him that my income had increased. I thought I shouldn't hurt his self-esteem by telling him that I was making quite a bit of money working from home.
Even if I think I've spent too much money, our lifestyle hasn't changed. So I think my income has probably gone up.
Maybe he doesn't have a good grasp of his own income and expenses? I couldn't believe what my husband said. However, my husband seemed enthusiastic about building a new home, and I had no way of stopping him. What kind of house do you have in mind? I had to find a way to build a low-cost home while listening to my husband's desired conditions. But my husband kept adding more and more conditions. But if we want to fulfill all of these, the house will cost a considerable amount of money, won't it?
It's no big deal. It's a once-in-a-lifetime big purchase, and my income should be enough, right?
I wondered what basis my husband had for saying that. At that moment, I regretted not telling my husband about my income. I thought I would tell him about it to calm him down. Derek, it's about household expenses. But actually, I also contribute a significant amount from my income. But for some reason, my husband didn't believe me.
Come on, don't lie like that.
No, I'm not lying, but I wanted my husband to buy a more affordable house. But in the end, he didn't listen to me and used his salary to take out a loan for a house that he could barely afford to pay for. Initially, I thought we were spending money reasonably, but over the years, my husband's spending habits have become more reckless. He started indulging in luxuries like brand name clothes and watches, and going out drinking with his juniors every night. Although he works overtime to make up for it, his spending habits have become more and more difficult to ignore. Despite all this, he finally decided that he wanted to build a house. And in the end, he was able to make it happen.
Wow,
This is a really nice house.
a house is a clear sign of success, isn't it?
He was right. The new house is awesome. It's definitely worth the price. It's spacious, beautiful, and comfortable to live in. My workroom has become larger, and I can now fit a big desk in it, giving me more space to work comfortably. When your workplace is more comfortable, work can be done quickly and easily, which has helped me become even more productive. I'm grateful for that aspect of it, but our monthly mortgage payments still makes me anxious. My husband doesn't seem to realize it, but we're paying off a long-term loan every month. The house is under my husband's name, but he has a bad habit of overspending, so there is never any money in his account. As a result, I have to deposit my income into his account so that we can pay off the mortgage. I'm starting to feel frustrated with him, and one day, I decided to talk to him about it. Don't you think you've been spending too much lately? I want you to think about things like the mortgage for the house. When I said this, my husband frowned and rebuked me.
What are you talking about? Haven't we been able to live a normal life even after we bought the house? If that's the case, then there's no problem. You're just worrying too much about the small details. And isn't it because you were bad at managing your money that you don't have enough? It's not my problem.
What? Hold on a sec. I'm constantly thinking about how to save money from the daily living expenses I have with the money you gave me. And I'm supplementing it with money that I earn for the mortgage and other expenses. So please don't talk to me like that.
What's up with you, really? Besides, the money you are putting in is not that much. So don't act like you are so great. The one who earns the most is the greatest. So I'm the greatest. Don't try to give your opinions to me.
My husband said that to silence me. I was surprised by my husband's change in attitude. He used to be kind and considerate when we first got married. But since then, our relationship has become strained. We hardly talk, and sometimes we don't even say hi to each other. My husband had started working overtime more than ever before, and often comes home late at night. I wonder if it's okay to continue our married life like this. We're just living under the same roof without even having conversations. If that's the case, it might be better to get a divorce. But if possible, I wanted to reconcile with him. After thinking about it a lot, I decided to take the initiative to reach out to him. However, my husband shattered my determination in an instant. It happened when I went to town to buy a birthday present for a friend. It was a weekday, and my husband should have been at work as usual. But I found him in town, wearing his regular clothes and walking with a young woman I didn't know. I couldn't believe it, but I immediately thought it must be an affair. To find out the truth, I decided to hire a private investigator. About 3 weeks later, I got the results of the investigation and went to the detective agency. My husband was indeed having an affair. The woman was his colleague at work. And surprisingly, their relationship had been going on for about 2 years. I understood the reason why my husband suddenly started spending extravagantly and coming home late due to overtime about 2 years ago was because he was having an affair. I was immediately filled with anger towards my husband. After all the verbal abuse he had thrown at me, he was the one having an affair. I felt pathetic for trying to protect his self-esteem and our marriage. I decided to abandon all my doubts and take action immediately. When I rushed back home, my husband was sitting on the sofa watching a sports program. I stood between the TV and my husband and spread the evidence of his affair in front of him. "Explain this." When I showed my husband the photo evidence, he seemed surprised for a moment, but quickly changed his attitude.
"Oh, that's Meg. She's my new wife."
"New wife? What are you talking about?"
"Well, now that you know, there's no point in hiding it. Unfortunately, you are no longer needed."
"What are you saying?"
"Frankly, I no longer have any use for you in my life. But Meg doesn't want to do household chores, so you can stay and do the housework for her."
"What? Are you crazy? I would never do something like that." When I said that, my husband's face turned red with anger.
"I'm the breadwinner in this household, so my orders are absolute. If you can't listen to me, then it's divorce."
Despite having an affair, my husband was still trying to control me.
Why do I have to listen to him?
"Fine, let's get a divorce."
Huh?
"First of all, you had an affair, so we can't continue our marriage like this. Let's just get a divorce already." My husband was taken aback but soon agreed with me.
"Oh, all right. Don't come crying to me later."
"I won't. But you have to help me with changing the names on the utility bills and the car loans we just bought." Soon, I changed all the loans into my husband's name and divorced him. He probably thought it was over, but for me, it was just the beginning. You should realize how much I supported your life. The day after the divorce was finalized, I was already relaxing in my new apartment. Then, I received a bunch of calls from my ex-husband. Since he had not yet paid me any compensation, I had not blocked his number. When I answered, he sounded flustered and said he needed to talk. I reluctantly agreed to meet him at a cafe, but he brought his mistress with him. "Well, you two look great together. What's going on?"
"Why didn't you tell me? Every month, a large amount of money is being deducted for loans. And why? Are the food expenses, car loans, utilities, and everything else so high? What are you trying to do by pushing all of that onto me?"
"Huh? I divorced you and left that house. So that's only natural. I don't have any other intentions."
"Shut up. This is fraud. I'll sue you."
My ex-husband and his mistress glared at me while holding each other's arms. They both said it was my fault. But I couldn't give in to such ridiculous accusations. "It's your fault for not understanding the situation properly. I showed you various documents, didn't I? And since the loan for the house was originally in your name, it's only natural that you should pay for it. Until now, I've been putting the necessary money into your account."
"How can you? with just small income, put in that much money?
As an ex-husband with poor comprehension skills, I explained everything to him. I was earning money as a freelance engineer. Currently, my annual income is around $200,000.
What do you think? Is that true?
Upon learning that I was earning much more than him, my ex-husband was surprised. But whether you know it or not, it doesn't matter anymore. More importantly, since I haven't properly claimed compensation yet, I will do so through a lawyer.
Or are you trying to swindle money from us?
I'm just using my rightful claim. I will also make claims against your mistress.
But that's...
Then I received compensation from both of them for the emotional distress they caused me. By the way, the woman my ex-husband had an affair with was devastated to learn that he wasn't using his own money to pay for the loan. The next day, she disappeared from his life. Their affair was just like any other, and it ended when the money ran out. My ex-husband now lives a lonely life, struggling to pay off his loan and make ends meet while commuting between work and home. He deserves the punishment he got, but apparently he couldn't accept it and spread the news of his affair around the office. His mistress claimed that he was abusing her, and they ended up in a messy quarrel. However, since they both lost their credibility, no one believed either of them. It seems that my ex-husband's financial troubles only worsened, and he eventually got demoted and received a pay cut due to his inability to focus on his work because of his mounting debts. It's all his own fault. And frankly, he deserves it. On the other hand, I was nervous when I first moved into my new high-rise apartment. But now I'm able to relax and enjoy my life here. I may not be interested in marriage or romance for a while, but that doesn't mean I want to be alone forever. If I meet someone in the future, I hope we can build a mutually supportive relationship based on what I've learned from this experience. For now, I'll focus on working hard and making the most of my time for myself.